1. Accidental Bride. Clarabelle Moreno believed in 3 things: punctuality, proper grammar, and reading documents before signing them. Unfortunately, Dustwillow Gulch's land office was hot, loud, and staffed by a man who spoke like punctuation was optional. Clara signed, thanked him, and turned only to freeze when the word fiancé echoed behind her. Across the room stood Elias Crow, hat tipped low, smile crooked, eyes very much hers. "Now, I think," he said mildly, "we just got engaged." Clara stared, blinked, then hissed, "Unengage us immediately." Dustwillow Gulch reacted the way it always did to excess. By sunset, Clara had been hugged by strangers, congratulated by the baker, and informed she looked fertile. Elias watched the chaos with visible alarm. "This is a mistake," Clara insisted. "It is," Elias agreed. "But if we say that out loud, they'll plan the wedding faster." She narrowed her eyes. "Why do you sound experienced?" Elias needed the engagement to look real, and agents respected family men. Clara needed her reputation intact. They struck a deal: 30 days of pretending. "No touching," Clara said. "No falling in love," Elias added. They shook hands. The town applauded. Pretending to be engaged, Clara learned, was a full-time performance. It required smiling until her cheeks hurt, standing close enough to Elias that she could smell soap and sun on him, and nodding serenely while the townspeople of Dustwillow Gulch openly debated their future children's names. Elias slipped his arm around her waist during Sunday service too, naturally. Clara stiffened, then remembered the audience and leaned in. His thumb brushed her side, warm and grounding, and her heart misbehaved. "You're doing great," he murmured. "I'm trying not to faint," she whispered back. The town sighed in unison. Elias insisted riding would make the engagement believable. Clara insisted she hated horses. The horse named Peaches had opinions of her own. Clara mounted. Peaches shifted. Clara screamed. Elias caught her mid-fall, arms solid and sure, her bonnet askew and dignity gone. For one suspended moment, neither moved. "You're holding me," Clara said breathlessly. "Yes," Elias replied, voice low. "I noticed." She didn't pull away immediately. Neither did he. They cooked together that night. Elias was terrible at it. Clara really laughed, for the first time in years. Between bites of nearly inedible bread, Elias confessed he stayed unattached so people wouldn't expect things from him. Clara confessed she left her old town because loving someone there hurt too much. They sat quietly afterward, close but not touching, the air thick with things neither dared say. The porch swing creaked gently. Fireflies danced. Elias leaned in without thinking, then stopped himself inches away. "Clara," he said softly, "this is pretend." Her breath caught. "I know." Neither of them moved for a long, dangerous second. When he finally pulled back, the disappointment was mutual and unmistakable. The traveling gambler smiled too widely at Clara. Elias smiled back tight, polite, and murderous. Clara noticed she liked noticing. When Elias later pulled her close, hand firm at her waist, he whispered, "You don't owe anyone politeness." She looked up at him. "Are you jealous?" His pause answered her. At the town social, Elias held Clara like it was instinct, guiding her through the music as if they'd always belonged together. "You're forgetting. We're pretending," she murmured. "I know," he said quietly. "That's the problem." Her heart skipped, reckless and hopeful. Clara overheard Elias admitting the engagement helped secure his ranch. It wasn't cruel, but it was incomplete. When she confronted him, hurt sharpened her voice. "You needed me," she said. "Just not for the reason I hoped." Elias reached for her. She stepped back. Clara announced the engagement was off. The town gasped. Elias went still. She packed that night, hands trembling. Ending it felt worse than the lie ever did. Elias realized too late that pretending had ended the moment he fell in love. He rode hard, heart louder than hooves, reaching the station just as Clara boarded. "Don't leave," he said, not without knowing the truth. Clara turned. Elias confessed. Everything: fear, love, regret. She kissed him before he could finish. "No pretending," she said, smiling through tears. "Never again," he promised. The town rejoiced shamelessly. Clara wore yellow. Elias cried openly. The vows were simple and real. No one doubted this ending. Clara stayed. Elias chose partnership. Dust Willow Gulch claimed full credit. This time, there were no mistakes, just love, chosen boldly and signed carefully. The first thing Clara noticed was the quiet, not the lonely kind, the good kind. The kind that settled gently over Dust Willow Gulch in the early evening, when the sun dipped low and the world softened its edges. She stood on the porch of the Crow Ranch, Elias's jacket draped over her shoulders, watching him fix a fence that didn't truly need fixing. He looked up and smiled like she was his favorite sight in the world. Because she was. Elias joined her on the porch, pulling her close without asking, because asking was no longer necessary. Clara rested her head against his chest, listening to the steady, familiar rhythm of his heart. "Do you ever think about how it started?" she asked softly. He laughed, pressing a kiss into her hair. "A clerk with bad handwriting? And a woman who didn't read the fine print," she teased. "The best mistake I ever made," Elias said, turning her so he could look at her properly. His hands framed her face with reverence, like love was something precious and deliberate. "I spent so long avoiding being chosen. I never imagined I'd be lucky enough to choose someone back." Clara's eyes shone. "I didn't plan to stay," she admitted, "but loving you feels like home." The kiss that followed was slow and certain, built from all the almosts and maybes they'd survived. When they pulled apart, the sky had turned gold and rose, the kind of sunset that felt like a blessing. From the yard, laughter carried neighbors passing by, already family. Dust Willow Gulch would always be watching, celebrating, meddling. But this moment belonged only to them. Later, as the stars emerged and the night grew cool, Elias wrapped Clara in his arms and whispered, "No pretending, ever." She smiled, lacing her fingers with his, "Only choosing." And beneath the wide western sky where mistakes once led them astray, they built a love that was deliberate, enduring, and entirely their own. Because the greatest romance in Dust Willow Gulch didn't begin with destiny or drama. It began with a mistake and ended with forever. Like and subscribe. Aurora Tale Wild West. God bless.